Alicia said I do not have an hour, so you're lucky. But it'll be close. Paul Durden, Tunisia, known as the Kid. We were in Tunisia together maybe 1993 or so. It was for a World Championship qualifier. You guys played France in the final and you won. So I remember that trip specifically. For all the athletes here, I probably refereed you guys. 50 years, holy heck. Really, I would like to congratulate all the nominees and all the recipients for all the awards tonight, particularly the referees. Kennedy, Elias, maybe. We can talk after about referees, because I do have something to say. My journey as a referee it's been particularly interesting, and as Andrew mentioned, I'm from Newfoundland, Labrador. Thank you. Coming from Newfoundland, Labrador at that particular time, there was only about 120 what we would call elite volleyball players, or that was our community. And my point is that coming from a small community, no matter where you are throughout Ontario, you might be able to achieve what I've achieved. And I have not done that on my own. As a referee, we do not have coaches. The athletes, and I'm sure that the team awards, they will mention tonight about their coaches, what their coaches have done, how much their coaches have influenced them. For us as referees, we do not have that. Andrew talked about mentors, but we have more of influencers. And for me in particular, to achieve the level which I've achieved, and it's really just by happenstance that I've been able to make this or wherever I am with all great appreciation. But for me, there's been two major influencers. This gentleman by the name of Dr. Brad Barton. Brad is from Nova Scotia. He was the national officials chair as I was coming up. I was also the regional officials chairman, which is Andrew's counterpart from Newfoundland, Labrador. Being able to progress in that particular time as refereeing, we traveled a whole lot. And Brad really instilled in me, he was an educator by profession. And he was able to instill in me the ability or the understanding of what it takes to be a referee from a technical perspective and from a professional perspective. The other person who some of you may know in the room was Weezer Bridle. Weezer was from Manitoba. And Weezer was probably really the greatest mentor for all referees in Canada. I think all our major referees can go back to Weezer's style of understanding the game and being that influence and allowing the game to flow, and as us as referees to be able to do that. So I came up through a time where, coming from Newfoundland, Labrador, where it was a small community, but that was in the late 70s. And that particular time, it's sort of like the old saying, high tide raises all boats. And we had a particular group of women, our 1979 Canada Games team, who prepared and traveled, and I just got a chance to go with them. I went to Quebec Opens, I went to Quebec Junior Opens, I went to Ontario Opens. Brenda, I don't know if you remember, when Bob Wright drove us to Windsor. Those were the types of things and the opportunities which I had as a referee to be able to grow and develop. My first match was my first final for CIS was back in 1983. And then after that, I got invited. Brad was the signing referee. I got invited then to go to the World Student Games in Edmonton, which Elias and I had a chance to go and do our programs. So through all this is what I'm saying, for us, we had influencers. And those are people that connect us with us along the way. I also had supporters. And as we've heard tonight, my biggest supporters, my family. Yeah, my lovely wife, we say that affectionately in Newfoundland, my lovely wife Sharon, and my wonderful and beautiful daughters Heather and Jennifer, who are here with us tonight. So, they're the ones who put up with the missed birthdays, the missed celebrations, the missed anniversaries, the missed all particular family events. Now, this is something for us as referees, which we go through. This is something which we do, and if you look at all our referees, every week when you go to a competition, I would ask you to look at the referees. Same ones every single week. They're there week in, week out, providing a service to the OVA. And they are missing the same things which I had missed. Family celebrations, those special occasions, because of their commitment to the game. I've also had a great support from, we moved to Ontario in 1995. And my support was tremendous. I'll mention some people who are members of the Hall of Fame, the Ontario Hall of Fame. Doug Robbie. I knew Doug before I moved here. But Doug was president of the OVA. He was also a member of the board of directors of the Volleyball Canada, which I was a member of. Diane Wood, which we recognized Diane's contribution as a leader, not only for officials, but I knew Diane when she was a program coordinator. And the position I accepted here in Ontario, Diane was on the hiring committee. So I think I might have had it in, but that was really appreciated. I've always been surprised that Mike Bogarski was the award for coaches named in Mike's honor. But Mike was one of my influencers as a referee. Mike was ROC at one time, or at least he attended the ROC meeting. And he brought this beautiful book, the Ontario Volleyball Officials Handbook. And I said, Mike, can I take a copy? And I copied that. The Ontario Volleyball Association is a leader. Is a leader in volleyball in Canada today, and I think is one of the best sport organizations in the world. And Joanne, to you and your team, if you go to the OVA website, the first thing you see about is safe sport. And I think that's a real contribution for the OVA, for our sporting community, not only for volleyball, but your leadership is recognized throughout Canada. So congratulations to you and your staff. Also, we mentioned Walter Stastansky. Walter was he was with us in Edmonton. And since that particular time, Walter and I became friends. And when we moved to Ontario, we were able to connect and provide that with that support. Of course, Sylvia Jesetic. I miss her so much. She was a real power, a real friend for volleyball, and a real leader. With the OVA's leadership, and Brenda, you remember when we did that reorganization for the officials, and Sylvia stepped up and provided that guidance for us to move forward. And Renzo opened up his heart to me when we moved here, and Renzo Milan, who is also a member of your hall. To the OVA staff, Alicia and Calvin, you've always been tremendous to me and are really supportive. And of course, my journey along the way would not have been without my employers. They were dedicated people and dedicated organizations that understood my own commitment. But now I want to talk a little bit about a soapbox. This is really off script, but it's not off script because I have it written. Not like all these other guys who take out, like men and women who are here, take out their phone and read from the phone. I still got paper. That's 50 years right here. Ontario has some of the best referees in the country and some of the leading referees in the world. Andrew Robb. Andrew last year was the gold medal referee for the FIVB Challenger Cup Series, and that's for the team who went to VNL this year. That's what we have here. We have Andrew Cameron. Andrew has been a stud in FIVB Volleyball Nations League, has done FISU Games gold medal matches, has done U Sport gold medal matches, and still contributes. Samira Savour. Samira is this year will go to the 2017 FIVB World Championships. She's already, at her young volleyball career, done 2. Very few people have had this opportunity to do 2 FIVB World Championship gold medal matches, one in 2021 and one in 2022 or 23 last year. But this is what we have. This year we have Jason Dodd from the indoor side. Jason will go to the next course in Sofia, Bulgaria to become the next Ontario indoor FIVB referee. That is the quality which we have here in Ontario. Again, Alicia and Calvin, that goes, and Joanne, that goes to the testament of the program which we have here. Not only are we great at coach development, not only are we great at athlete development, as we see by all the awards that Ontario wins at the various Canada Games, the national championships, etc., we are producing great referees. We just talked about the Be a Referee program. I didn't realize that was going to be up there, but I had it in, so I wanted to talk about it. The Be a Referee program, we did studies of why people become referees. 2 main reasons: love of the game and to stay involved. It's not about money. Well, maybe it was first when they started, but when they really get into it, it's not about money. It's about that love and commitment to the game. So I only ask you as players and coaches that you encourage your players another option to stay involved in the game, to talk about that camaraderie. Paul talked about in your group, it wasn't about what you won or lost. It was about that friendship and commitment of what we have. And being a referee gives you that friendship and commitment and camaraderie as you continue your career. As I say to all the referees from time to time, if you're waiting for the bus called perfection, you're going to wait a long time. But if you want to continue to contribute to the experience of our members of the Ontario Volleyball Association, you can become a referee. Thank you very much, OVA. Thank you very much for this honor. Really appreciate it. Thank you.